Hi friends, welcome back to our backend application for the Post API implementation using the Node.js and Express.js. We are working on the authentication and authorization section, and the last class we have completed the user model creation. User.models.js. In this, we have completed the schema for user schema and users middlewares. We have did these things, or you can simply write the middlewares. In the today we are going to create the controllers.js. In this we are going to write the so many things in this file. Like one is the create user. Like create user means register the user. Register. First I am going to implement this one. Open the src folder. In the controllers, come to the user.controllers.js. In this I'm going to import the few more things. What is that called? User from /models / user.models. Once go to the models, how I imported like a using a named export. Same like you have to import as a named export. First here we are going to, before going to writing the actual logic, we are going to first check the what we have to write. First collect the information. Collect the data. Like we are going to use, we are going to collect the data like a username, like these things. What contains username, email, full name, and password. These things we are going to collect from the in the registration user. Username, email, full name. Full name means like this. Full name also small letters. Username, email, full name, and password. These things we are going to collect using the request.body. Next validate the data. Validation means checking the whether this data is present or not, whether the data is empty or not, data is empty or it is having some data or not. We are going to check validating the data. Next, checking the whether is username and email is exist or not in the our database. If the username and email is existed or present in the our database, I'm not going to create one more data. I'm going to call the error. I'm going to throw an error called already this username and email is present. You don't have to permission to create the new, one more user using this username and email. You have to change the email and username. I'm going to throw that type of error. Like check the user existence. Then encrypt the password. Actually we are here encrypting this password is going to take care of my model means, see here you have observed here, we have in the previous session only we have written the some middleware here like a user schema dot pre user like generating the access token. You can ignore this one. I'm going to explain this one, generating the access token. If you observe this password hashing or encrypting, it will, if you observe this middleware like a pre middleware, it will do the it will encrypt or hash the password before going to save into the our database. Before going to save this data into the database, it going to pre middleware will take care of hashing or encrypting the password. That's why we are not going to write here. We can directly save the content. These things we are going to perform. First, collect. For collecting, I'm going to use username, comma, email, comma, next full name, comma, password. These things we are going to take. in the form of request. You have observed this request we are taking request dot body. Next, validating. I'm going to use here one for like a one condition like a username, email, comma, full name, comma, password. I'm going to first validate this using the one predefined function called sum function. I'm going to take element. If the element dot trim equal to null or equal to empty. If any one of these username or email or user full name or password is going to empty, it will give the true. I'm going to throw an error, throw new API error. In the API error, if you go to this API error in the utils API error, I'm going to pass first as a status code, then message and errors. I'm going to pass these things in the API. I'm going to pass as a 400 as a status code, then message as a all fields are required. All fields are required. All fields are required. After this, all fields are required. I'm going to show this error. I'm going to throw this error. All fields are required. If any one of the field is empty or an empty string we will observe. I'm going to throw this error. All fields are required with a status code of 400. Then after this, check the user existence. Check the user existence means I'm going to check first const user equal to await user equal to user dot which user this user dot find find one find one. I'm going to use or means if email or username is present, I'm going to throw an error. I'm going to email or username. That's why we are going to use the or email or username. Email or username I'm going to give. If any one of these in the any one of these username or email is present in my database, any user is existed, I'm going to throw an error. For that, first I'm going to check my user is there. Suppose my user is present. I'm going to throw new API error. 401 or 400. User already existed. Please change, or user already existed is okay. User already existed, okay. Here also user already existed. Then after completion, if user is not present, suppose this condition is not going to executed. Suppose not executed. This condition is that user is present. We are going to create new user. Const new user equal to await. Why I am going to use the await means this is a actually this find one is a promise, like it will return the promise. User dot find one will return the promise. If you want to access, if you want to access the data promises, we are going to use the await. Because of these are database operations. The database operations will contain the database contains in the far away from our development, like a production environment. That's why we have going to use the await keyword. Actually, this is asynchronous. Promise saying of promise means we can say the asynchronous call. This is a asynchronous call. Asynchronous call to access or to what is that called, to make the asynchronous call, to work with the asynchronous call, we are going to use the concept called promise send. In the promise also we can use the then catch, but instead of then catch we are going to use the, here we are going to using the async and await calls, async and await keywords. That's why we have used the await. in the must and should you have to mention the async. If you don't mention this, it will throw an it will throw an error card. If you observe here, if you hover on the mouse, means await expressions are only allowed within the asynchronous function at the top level of the modules. You have to, did you mean, if you see this, did you mean to mark this function as asynchronous? You have to must and should mark this as a async. Must and should, if you using the asynchronous in await in the if you use the await in the any of the function call, you have to must and should write the async keyword in the function and the function talk. Then this one also, user dot, I'm going to create the dot create. Here we are going to pass the username, then what is that, email comma full name comma password. These things we are going to pass. After completing this, once we have to check this whether the user is created or not. For that, we are going to do the one more checking user created. For that also await keyword user dot find by id. We are going to create using the find by id. For that, new user dot underscore id. User dot underscore id. If suppose my user is if the created created user is exist, suppose created user is exist, I'm going to we are going to write the not instead of the writing the existing. We can write the not does not existing. If the created user is not existed, we are going to throw, I'm going to throw new API called throw new API. In this we are going to pass 400 404 or 400 user creation failed. Creation failed user creation failed. If the user is existed, suppose I have checked here does not existed, user created does not existed, like user is does not existed. Suppose here is a some failure is happened, due to that user is not created. I'm checking here like a user whether the user is created properly or not using the one more asynchronous call. We can directly write this one also. Using this one also we can directly write whether the my user is created or not. But I'm going to doing the once again find by id operation. I'm going to hitting my database, my database, to check my whether the user is created using the one more callback, one more call one more call. You can write like this also. If suppose this will is not going to give any response, like it will suppose it will give the any it will give the null or undefined. In that case, I'm going to throw the user creation is failed. If suppose user is, it will give the any data like object kind of data. That's why I'm going to return the response like a response dot status. I'm going to pass as a 201 because of I have created the user in this JSON. In this JSON, new API response. In this, I'm going to pass. If you want to check what we have to pass in that API response, you can check here. Constructor contains the three types. One is the status code, data, message. In the status code, we are going to pass the 201 data. In the data section, we are going to pass the created user. I'm going to few things I'm going to ignore. It will this callback, this second callback is helpful for the checking the whether my user is created or not. One more thing is selecting the some items, like a deselecting or selecting the some items. Like I'm going to ignore some items using the hyphen password and hyphen underscore way. These two things I'm going to ignore. Remaining I'm going to pass using the here my response user created and message is like message user created successfully. successfully with this symbol. If you want to access this, must and should you have to get register the user in the export section. In the export section here in the routes, user.routes.js. Create one more file called user.routes.js in the routes folder. Come to my routes folder. Routes here already I have created here. Import, don't forget the importing the router. Import router from the Express. const router equal to router. Export this one also. Export as a default. Export default router. Router dot route slash. I'm going to make it as a register, or sorry, I'm going to make it as a sign up. Use some professional things here, slash sign up, and I'm going to make it as a post method. In this post method you have to import first slash register user from the controller, register user. Then here come to my app.js. Here you have to once again import the things. Before using this, you have to import that user router from dot slash routes slash user.routes.js. Here app dot use of slash API slash v1 slash user this user router user router user router user router. Run the application. npm run dev. క్లాస్ చెప్తున్నాను, నువ్వు మాట్లాడించుకో. మళ్ళీ మాట్లాడించుకో అంటే మళ్ళీ అది చేస్తావు అదే పని చేస్తలాగా. Here I am going to mention the .js. See, application is running. When the postman, here create one more router, create one more folder first, users here, create one request sign up request. Change the method to get to post. Here http column slash slash localhost, what is the port number 7662. First check my application whether the application is running or not. See, my application is running. Open postman. Here API slash v1 slash post, sorry, v1 slash users. What is the user I have mentioned here? In the app I have mentioned the users, don't forget. users slash sign up. Here you have to must and should write the data. If you send this, see, we will get the error called uh, status is the 500, success is the false. We will get the error called why we are getting like a undefined trim means we are not passed any data. That's why we got the this information. First, we are going to pass the username. Username. I'm going to pass Kirti, then email Kirti dot 6@gmail.com, then full name, then Kirti Kumari, then password I'm going to give in the plain text 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. I'm going to give in like this. If you send this, see, boom, we got the response. Like a response is the status code is the 201, and data we got the here this data we got with ID, but we have hided something. Some fields we have hided while giving the response, like a password and underscore underscore v. Those things we have deselected using the dot select method. uh, Dot select method. If you observe here, underscore id, username, email, full name, created it, updated it, and message we have it got like a user created successfully, and success message is true. See, if you go to my VS Code terminal, we have completed the in the controller part we have completed the register user. Where in the next class we are going to see the login functionality and get user functionality. If you like my content, if you like my explanation, please like and subscribe my channel and support my channel.